The weight of the duvet feels like lead as the 3 a.m. alarm pierces the silence of your room, yet you force yourself into the freezing water of wudu, desperately seeking a light that remains elusive. You haven't stumbled upon this message by accident. Your soul is calling for a tahajjud that actually reaches the heavens, instead of just exhausting your weary body. We need to talk about why your sacrifice feels like a heavy chain, and why the secret to true spiritual ascension is hidden in 2 rare verses you have likely overlooked. I want to talk to you tonight about the Tahajjud, the night vigil, that sacred appointment with the divine which so many of you pursue with such relentless, painful dedication. I see the shadows under your eyes. I feel the residual chill from the cold water you used for your ablution just hours ago, and I know the internal negotiation that took place in the deep, freezing darkness of 3 a.m. I know the exact sequence of that struggle. The alarm rings, a quiet, insistent chime designed not to wake the household, only your burdened soul. The first instinct is pure physical revolt. The eyelids feel weighted with lead. The limbs are heavy, cemented to the bedsheets. You make a silent promise. Just 5 more minutes. But that promise is a lie whispered by the nafs, the lower self, seeking to steal your most precious hours. You fight it. You throw off the warmth, bracing yourself for the shock of the cold air on your skin. You stumble toward the bathroom, your mind still clouded by the lingering remnants of dreams, and you perform wudu. The water, particularly in the winter months, is a sharp, shocking baptism, a momentary sting that forces the soul back into the body. You stand upon your prayer rug, perhaps shivering slightly, perhaps rubbing the sleep from your eyes, and you begin the salah. And this is where the real struggle begins, isn't it? The physical act is complete, but the spiritual connection remains elusive. You recite the verses, you bow, you prostrate, your forehead touching the cold floor in submission. Yet your mind is everywhere but with the one you are supposedly addressing. Your thoughts drift uncontrollably. The deadline at work tomorrow, the argument you had with your spouse, the grocery list, the bills that need paying. You pull your focus back. You try to summon the khushu, that deep, reverent concentration, but it slips away like water through cupped hands. You finish the rak'ahs. You lift your hands in earnest dua, supplication, asking for forgiveness and light. But a crushing question settles heavily in your heart. Was that accepted? Did I even mean it? Or was it just a performance? My beloved ones, I have mirrored this struggle in my own life for decades, and I have watched countless sincere seekers walk this same path, burdened by the weight of their own expectations. I know your pain, because it is the pain of every Muslim who strives for perfection in devotion. You are desperate for a sign. You are looking for that nur, that light, that promised spiritual transformation that Tahajjud is supposed to deliver. You read the narrations about the righteous predecessors who stood all night until their feet swelled, and you compare their devotion to your own meager, distracted 2 or 4 rak'ahs, and you feel deficient. You feel like a failure. You feel like a hypocrite. This is the most dangerous trap of all. The belief that sincerity is measured by physical endurance or ritualistic perfection. You force yourself to wake up night after night, transforming this beautiful, voluntary act of love into a harsh, punitive obligation. You measure your spirituality by the sheer quantity of sleepless hours, and when you fail to maintain this grueling pace, when you miss a night due to sickness, travel, or sheer exhaustion, the guilt descends upon you like an avalanche. You worry that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is displeased, that the doors of mercy have been slammed shut, simply because your mortal body required rest. You have turned the tahajjud from a flight to the divine into a heavy metallic chain wrapped around your own neck. And so, I stand before you tonight to deliver a message that may sound revolutionary, perhaps even shocking, but I assure you, it is rooted in the deepest wisdom of our tradition, a wisdom often overlooked in our rush for mechanical piety. I say to those of you drowning in this self-inflicted guilt, to those exhausted souls whose tahajjud has become a source of anxiety rather than tranquility, stop doing tahajjud. Yes, you heard me correctly. Stop the midnight routine. Stop the forced standing. Stop the measuring and the counting. Because you are missing something fundamental, something so profound that if you neglect it, your standing in the darkness, your chilled ablution, and your whispered prayers are built upon sand. You are attempting to build the roof of the spiritual house before you have laid the foundation. The spiritual journey is not a marathon of physical endurance. It is a meticulous restructuring of the heart. You have been striving to please the Creator with your limbs, but you have forgotten the essential prerequisite for true acceptance. You are performing the actions of the pious while ignoring the very state of being that makes those actions valuable. The entire structure of your night worship, your dedication, your sacrifice, your fight against the comfort of sleep, all of it hinges upon a foundational purity that is often bypassed. We are fixated on the visible, measurable actions, the imal, and we neglect the invisible foundational state, the hal. And it is the hal, the state of the heart, which determines the value of the imal. I am going to share with you tonight 2 verses from the Quran, 2 rare gems that are usually passed over quickly, used merely as an introduction to a larger topic. But when we perform a deep, detailed tafsir tanur exegesis on these 2 verses, when we allow their light to truly illuminate the path, they radically redefine the entire concept of voluntary worship, specifically tahajjud. They change everything you thought you knew about how Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, accepts your sacrifice. They provide the only chance you have to truly understand why your current efforts feel empty. These verses are not merely recommendations, they are preconditions. They are the spiritual building code. And if you violate this code, your midnight prayers, however long and sincere they feel to you, risk becoming nothing more than noise in the silent night. We must now turn our attention to the text itself to unlock this profound secret. Take a deep breath and let the weight of your expectations fall away for just a moment. If this reflection is touching your heart, consider subscribing to Eman Within. We are walking this path of inner alignment together. But before we do, recognize the validation. Your struggle is real, your exhaustion is legitimate, and your feeling of spiritual dryness is the direct, inevitable result of starting the journey in the wrong place. We are not discarding tahajjud. We are saving it by first saving the vessel, your heart, that performs it. We must now turn our attention, with the deepest humility and focus, to the text itself. To unlock this profound secret, this spiritual building code that determines whether your sacrifice is accepted or merely registered as physical exertion. The exhaustion you feel, the spiritual dryness that plagues your early morning hours, is not a punishment from Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a symptom, a flashing red warning light indicating that the vessel, your heart, is not prepared to receive the divine rain. You are attempting to fill a cup that is not only dirty, but riddled with holes, and then you blame the water for not nourishing you. The purity of the tahajjud is absolute, but the receptivity of the worshipper is conditional. The spiritual journey, my beloved students, is fundamentally about congruence. It is about aligning the inner state with the outer action. If your heart is heavy with the anxieties of the dunya, if your conscience is burdened by unrepented wrongs, if your tongue is sharp and careless during the day, how can you expect that same heart and that same tongue to suddenly be elevated to the highest station of intimacy with the divine when the clock strikes 3 in the morning? It is an impossibility, a theological contradiction. You cannot sow weeds all day and expect to harvest roses at night. We turn to Surah Al-Muzzammil, the very chapter that institutionalized the night vigil for the Prophet, PBUH, and the early believers. The verses that follow the initial command to stand are often read quickly, used to calculate time or measure physical effort. but within them lies the essential precondition, the secret of spiritual acceptance that transforms mechanical movement into true ascension. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands the Prophet, PBUH, "O you wrapped up in clothing, arise to pray the night, except for a small part of it, half of it or lessen than that a little, or add to it, and recite the Quran with measured recitation." 73:1-4. Now let us pause here, before the profound command to recite the Quran with tartile, measured recitation, and focus on the theological weight of the subsequent often overlooked verse, the verse that redefines the purpose of that standing. This is the first of the two rare verses, the spiritual code. Indeed, the hours of the night are more effective for worship and better for speech. 73:6. This verse in Arabic is breathtakingly precise. Inna nashi'ata al-layli hiya ashaddu wat'an wa aqwamu qila. We must perform a detailed tafsir on every single syllable here, for the secret lies within these specific words. Consider the term nashi'ata al-layl. This refers to the rising of the night, the hours after sleep, the time when one must exert effort to rise from rest. It is the challenging portion of the night. Allah, St. Tawad, is acknowledging the difficulty of the action, but he immediately shifts the focus from the difficulty of the body to the profound impact on the soul. Then comes the critical phrase, Hiya ashadu watan. This is the core instruction. Ashadu means more intense, stronger, or more effective. But the word wat'an is where the theological weight rests. Linguistically, wat'an means treading or impact, as in the treading of a foot on the ground. When applied spiritually, the scholars of tafsir have given it multiple, interconnected meanings, all pointing towards congruence and alignment. First, wat'an means the congruence between the heart and the tongue. It means that the heart's presence, hudur, during the prayer is stronger, more aligned, and more impactful than during the day. During the day, the world assails us. Our minds wander to commerce, duties, and worries. The tongue might be reciting the Quran, but the heart is signing a contract. But in the silence of the night, the heart and the tongue tread the same ground. They are in perfect step. The Tahajjud is only truly effective, ashadu wat'an, when the internal state matches the external utterance. If your heart is still busy calculating the prophets or nursing a grudge, then the wat'an is weak, the treading is shallow. Second, wat'an means the impact on the soul, the deep impression left by the act. It means the prayer is not just performed by you, but performed on you. It changes you. If your tahajjud is not changing your character, if your behavior the next day remains arrogant, impatient, or negligent, then your prayer lacked wat'an. It was merely an exercise, not an experience. It lacked the deep, transformative impact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised this time would deliver. And finally, the verse continues, wa aqwamu qila, and better for speech. Aqwam means more upright, more correct, or more enduring. Qila refers to the utterance, the speech, which in the context of prayer is the recitation of the Quran and the supplications. This is the precondition I am stressing. The night prayer is better for speech because the soul is calmer and the distractions are fewer. But this profound potential is wasted if the foundation is corrupt. How can your speech be aqwamu, more upright, at night, if your speech during the day is crooked? If your tongue is accustomed to slander, to lying, to gossip, to engaging in useless chatter that pollutes the spiritual atmosphere, then when you stand before the Lord of the worlds, the impurity of your daily speech clings to your recitation like mud. The qila of the night is meant to be a distillation, a purification of all your utterances, but it cannot purify what you actively pollute the rest of the time. This verse, therefore, tells you why you must stop. Your tahajjud is failing because the wat'an and the qila are not aligned. You are trying to achieve spiritual intensity, ashadu wat'an, and upright speech, aqwamu qila, without first cleansing the vessel of the heart and the instrument of the tongue. Let us consider the profound lesson of Prophet Ayub, Job, peace be upon him. His story is often cited for his legendary patience, sabr. But we must look deeper at the state that defined his acceptance. Ayub was stripped of his wealth, his health, and his family. He spent years in profound physical agony. Now, imagine Ayub performing Tahajjud during those years. His prayers were not measured by the length of his standing, for often he could barely move. His acceptance was not based on the perfection of his physical ritual. Rather, his acceptance, his ultimate reward, was based entirely on his hal, his state of being. Ayub's foundation was pure reliance, tawakkul, and unshakable patience, sabr. When he finally called out to his Lord, it was not a demand, but a whispered plea rooted in years of unwavering submission. Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. 21:83. His supplication, his qila, was powerful precisely because the wat'an, the alignment of his heart and his submission, was absolute. His daily suffering was his tahajjud. His patience was the precondition. He maintained the purity of his state through immense trial, and thus, when he spoke, the heavens opened. You, too, must ensure that your daily life is not undermining your nightly efforts. Your patience in traffic, your honesty in business, your kindness to your spouse, your forgiveness of a slight, these are the foundational rakas of your spirituality. If you neglect these daily obligations of character, if you allow the negativity of the dunya to settle in your heart, then when you stand up at night, your heart is heavy and resistant. You force yourself to stand, but the wat'an is weak because the heart is still treading the dirty ground of the day's sins and carelessness. This leads us directly to the second rare verse, which acts as the ultimate spiritual safeguard, ensuring that the wat'an achieved during tahajjud is not merely a momentary feeling, but a lasting transformation. This verse follows directly after the instruction to stand in the night. Indeed, for you in the daytime is prolonged occupation. Wat'an 73:7. Again, the Arabic is crucial. Inna laka fi an-nahari sabhan tawila. Sabhan tawila literally means long swimming or long wandering occupation. This verse is often used to justify why the night prayer was eventually made voluntary, because the Prophet, PBUH, and the believers had intense responsibilities during the day, spreading the message, fighting battles, earning livelihoods. But the deeper tafsir reveals a profound warning and a precondition. Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is acknowledging the reality of the demanding day, but He is implicitly setting a standard for how that demanding day must be managed. The long occupation of the day must not be allowed to corrupt the foundation late at night. If the purpose of the tahajjud is to achieve ashadu wat'an wa aqwamu qila, perfect alignment and upright speech, then the sabhan tawila of the day must be controlled so that it does not destroy that alignment. If your long occupation during the day is consumed by heedlessness, ghafla, by obsession with status, by exploiting others, or by engaging in speech that displeases Allah, eswatawa, then the purity achieved in the morning is immediately polluted. The night acts as a powerful detergent, washing the heart clean. But if you immediately jump back into the mud pit of sin and carelessness the moment the sun rises, then the prayer was merely temporary relief, not permanent transformation. Therefore, the command to stop doing tahajjud is a strategic spiritual intervention. You must stop the mechanical action and dedicate that energy, the energy you are using to fight sleep and battle guilt, to fulfilling the preconditions set forth in these two verses. You must perform the inner tahajjud first. You must dedicate time to cleaning the vessel. If your heart is heavy due to an unresolved conflict, resolve it. If your tongue is loose due to careless habits, practice silence. If your day is consumed by anxieties because you lack true reliance on Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Then spend time meditating on His names and attributes until your heart finds tranquility. The true foundational tahajjud is the purification of the hal, state, so that the amal, action, becomes acceptable. It is the meticulous restructuring of your daily life, your daily speech, and your daily intentions, ensuring that the subhan tawila does not negate the ashadu wat'an. Only when your foundation is pure, when your daily conduct aligns with the reverence you seek at night, can you return to the prayer mat. And when you do return, your 2 rak'ahs will possess the weight and light of 1,000, because they will be performed by a heart ready to receive the divine presence. This is the only chance to save your tahajjud from becoming a burden. This journey of understanding leads us to the critical intersection of intent and action, where the wisdom of the Quran demands not just effort, but correctly directed effort. The instruction to temporarily cease the physical act of tahajjud is not a command for laziness. It is a profound prescription for spiritual efficiency. It is the tactical withdrawal necessary to win the strategic war against the nafs. What then should you do with the time that was previously consumed by forced, mechanical standing? That energy, the struggle against the duvet, the battle against the sleep that was often lost anyway, the guilt that followed, must now be meticulously reinvested into the purification of the wat'an and the monitoring of the subhan tawila. First, dedicate that pre-dawn hour, the sacred time before Fajr, to tafakkur and muhasabah, deep contemplation and rigorous self-accounting. Instead of standing in salah, sit quietly, perhaps making only 2 rak'ahs of witr if you wish, but dedicating the rest of the time to the quiet, penetrating gaze upon your own soul. Take the time you would have spent reciting long chapters and use it to review the previous day, the day of the Saban Tawila. Ask yourself honestly, before the judge who sees all, did my long occupation of the day, my long swimming, take me closer to Allah or drag me farther away? Was my speech upright? Aqwamu kila? Did I gossip? Did I exaggerate? Did I deceive, even in small ways? Did I maintain the alignment of my heart? Ashadu wat'an. Was my primary allegiance to my Creator? Or did I allow the pursuit of wealth, status, or validation from creation to hijack my inner devotion? This muhasaba is the true preparation for prayer. If you find that the Saban Tawila was dominated by heedlessness, ghafla, then your job in that quiet hour is not to force a prayer, but to perform intensive istighfar, seeking forgiveness, and tawbah, repentance. Repeat the phrases of seeking pardon until the heaviness in the chest begins to lift, until the knots of guilt begin to loosen. This is the inner tahajjud, cleaning the vessel so that when the vessel is filled with the light of the Quran, it does not leak or become contaminated. The second crucial action is the active pursuit of tasfiyah al-qalb, the purification of the heart from spiritual diseases. The wat'an, the perfect alignment, is impossible when the heart is cluttered with envy, resentment, or unforgiveness. Think of someone who has wronged you, someone whose memory causes a spike of anger or bitterness. That bitterness is a spiritual toxin. It is a barrier between you and the divine presence. You must consciously, deliberately, and repeatedly forgive them. You must release the expectation that they owe you justice in this life, placing that entire burden upon Allah Eswakotun, the ultimate judge. If you stand for tahajjud while holding a grudge, you are standing with a heart that is partially occupied by the memory and the negative energy of another human being, not solely by the remembrance of Allah. How can the wat'an be strong when the heart is divided? Use this repurposed time to write internal letters of forgiveness, to make dua for those who hurt you, until the weight is gone. This act of purification is heavier and more pleasing to the heavens than 1,000 forced rak'ahs. The benefits of this strategic retreat are immediate and transformative. When you prioritize the wat'an over the amal, the quality of your entire spiritual life elevates. Firstly, your fard, obligatory prayers, will become infused with light. If your tahajjud was a struggle, imagine the state of your fajr, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, and isha. They were likely rushed, distracted, and shallow. By fixing the foundation, by ensuring the heart is aligned and the tongue is controlled, you approach the 5 daily prayers with genuine reverence. The khushu ban concentration that eluded you at night will now naturally settle upon you during the day, because the vessel is clean and ready. The wat'an established through inner work makes all subsequent actions effortless acts of devotion rather than grudging duties. Secondly, your qila, speech, will achieve true power. When your day is managed consciously, when the saban tawila is controlled and disciplined, when you speak only that which is beneficial or remain silent, then the few words you utter, whether in dua or in counsel, carry weight. The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, taught us that Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, responds to the dua of a heart that is attentive, not heedless. If you spend your day polluting your speech, how can you expect your nighttime supplication, even if long and tearful, to pierce the heavens? But when you guard your tongue and purify your day, your dua is no longer a desperate plea from a heedless servant, but the focused, upright speech, aqwamu qila, of a soul in alignment. The heavens recognize the voice of the disciplined heart. When, and only when, you feel the lightness return. When the daily self-accounting shows a clear improvement in your conduct and speech. When the grudges have dissolved and the heart feels expansive and free. Then, you may return to the prayer mat for tahajjud. Your return will not be a struggle, it will be a magnetic pull. You will wake up not because the alarm forced you, but because the wat'an, the inner alignment, is calling you to communion. The prayer will cease to be a burden and will become your greatest pleasure, the qurratu al-ayn, coolness of the eyes. When you stand again, those 2 rak'ahs will contain the essence of all the inner work you performed. They will be the fruit of your patience, the culmination of your self-discipline, and the physical manifestation of your purified intent. The quality of that single prayer, performed by a clean heart, will outweigh years of forced devotion from a divided soul. This is the secret of the 2 rare verses. The wat'an and the sabhan tawila are the engine. The tahajjud is merely the steering wheel. Fix the engine first. We ask Allah, Subhanahu, the Lord of the heavens and the earth, the compassionate, the merciful, to grant us the insight to understand the profound depths of His revelation. O Allah, we stand before you now, acknowledging our heedlessness, khafla, and our failures in managing the long occupation of our days, saban tawila. We confess that we have often polluted our speech, that our tongues have been loose, and that our actions have contradicted the reverence we claim to hold in our hearts. Forgive us, Ya Rahman, for the mechanical nature of our worship, for standing before you physically, while our hearts wandered in the markets and the trivialities of the dunya. Ya Qayyum, sustainer of all existence, grant us the courage to stop, to pause, and to perform the necessary inner surgery upon our souls. Help us to dedicate the time we once wasted on ineffective striving to the meticulous cleaning of our spiritual vessels. We seek your assistance in achieving ashadu wat'an, that perfect, unwavering alignment of our inner core with your divine will. Make our foundation strong, so that when we stand as one unified soul, fully present, fully submitted. O Allah, purify our hearts from every speck of envy, every trace of resentment, and every whisper of arrogance. Help us to forgive those who have wronged us completely and absolutely, removing the barriers that separate us from your boundless mercy. We know that a heart holding hatred cannot fully hold your love. Cleanse us, Ya Tawwab, the acceptor of repentance, so that our hearts may become fit dwellings for your remembrance. Ya Alim, the all-knowing, grant us the wisdom to manage our sabhan tawila. Shield us from the corruption of the day, protect our eyes from forbidden sights, and guard our ears from detrimental speech. Make our livelihood a source of blessing, not a distraction from our ultimate purpose. Discipline our tongues, Ya Hafidh, the preserver, so that every word we utter is aqwamu qila, upright, truthful, and pleasing to you. Make our silence meditation, and our speech remembrance. And when you deem us worthy, when our inner state, hal, is purified and our alignment is solid, invite us back to the sanctity of the night prayer. And when we return, Ya Wadud, the loving one, make our 2 rakas heavier on the scale of deeds than mountains. Make our tahajjud the coolness of our eyes, a true meeting with you, a conversation of profound depth, not a forced duty. Accept our efforts, pardon our shortcomings, and guide us to live every moment in a state of continuous inner tahajjud. Ameen. May your heart find the stillness it seeks. If these verses have changed your perspective on the night prayer, please share this reflection with a soul who might be struggling in the silence of the night. Until we meet again in the light of Eman.